board and screen share. Okay. So tonight, our call, let me see if I can pull this up slideshow. Our call is entitled, It's All About the Push. And we're talking about what it means to learn to be confident in your role as a coach. So we're going to start with what I mean by push. So for the P, I want you guys to understand that this is about peer support. The reason that I'm doing this call is I think as coaches, sometimes we get a little overwhelmed with, well, what is that push? What does that push look like? And how do we know the balance of creating push versus not in everything else? So that's kind of what I want to go into tonight. That's kind of where this call comes from. And I am touching on the things that I think are the most important things when you're thinking about how to push your challengers or your coaches, or how to, when you're adding people to your team and when you have multiple challenges in a row and you feel really confused and overwhelmed, and how do I make sure that I'm focused on the basics? So for the P, I want you guys to write down peer support. And I need to move this to the bottom. There we go. So I started with the verse because obviously everything that I do and every reason that I'm in this business is out of my relationship with the Lord and how much I believe in who God's called me to be, and the purpose that God has put inside of me in everything that I want to do. I want to glorify Him, and I feel like this business allows me to do for that. Allows me that opportunity better than anything else I've ever done. So in loving others and supporting people, I started with the verse that says, above all, keep loving one another earnestly, since love covers a multitude of sins. And that's 1 Peter 4:8. And the reason that that I thought this verse is really important is because a lot of things that hold us back, even as coaches, or in feeling like a lot of things that hold us back as coaches, I feel like, are our own insecurities, our own weaknesses. It's a lot of the reasons that we're afraid to reach out to other people, and why other people are afraid to allow us in sometimes when we're inviting and asking. And so being able to say, this is about loving them, and loving them allows us to be free from our own insecurities and weaknesses. And even though we have them, to be able to lead from a different place than that, even though those things exist. And it also allows those that we're reaching out to get an experience that they don't normally get in their weaknesses and insecurities and fears. Normally people will say, okay, fine, and they'll let you go, but that's not what we do. We keep loving others regardless. And so I really want peer support to be something you guys understand as really our opportunity to love other people well, whether they be our challengers, our coaches, or people on a list that we're inviting and connecting with. So the next one is to connect with them. In peer support, we really need to make sure that we are valuing that actual connection with them, that it's obviously not about a sale. And sometimes it's like, well, how do I be a coach when it means I have to sell things? By connecting. You guys, we're reaching out and we're adding value. We are establishing a relationship. We're understanding where they're coming from. So connecting should be the number one way that you show love to others and that you support the people around you. The next one is not to give up on people. So the reason this is on there is because when somebody says no, you want to give up and say, okay, they said no, they must not want my help. Or when they're a challenger and they buy something and they disappear in a group, you say, oh, well, I guess they didn't want to do it, or they, weren't ready. We want to be the or in coaching, oh, if my coach disappears, then I guess they must not have wanted this bad enough. It's very, very important that in supporting others, you don't give up on them, because it's easy to give up when somebody says no, but that's really, most of the time, no comes from a place of insecurity or fear. It comes from a weakness inside of people that they don't believe in themselves. You guys want to make sure that you're not giving up on people. and that you're valuing people over money, fame, or success. The reason this is on here, a lot of people on our team, we have huge hearts. We definitely value people over money, fame, or success. And I know as a hobby coach, this was never even a question for me. Valuing people was way more important than money, fame, or success, because that's why I was in this business. But slowly over time, as this has become a business, and for those of you who are turning this into a full-time business and you want this to be the way that you make the rest of your life success is through Beachbody coaching, you're going to find that money, fame, or success can sometimes get a little bit higher or like confuse you. What am I really focusing on? In order to be a successful coach, sometimes, most of the time, we have hobby coaches that kind of keep it here. You know, you value people first and money is down here. But as you build a business, sometimes they line up even. Sometimes you are really excited about the commissions because it's going to pay for your groceries. It does feel really good to reach a rank advancement because you've been working really hard for that. There are successes that come, and I'm not saying that they shouldn't be important, so I don't want that to be confusing. But what I am saying is that money, fame, success, what this business will do for you should never become more important, because in that, you start trampling over people. You start forgetting the real reason you're in this. So in saying value people over money, fame, and success, I don't mean that those other things shouldn't matter. They just shouldn't matter more. So that's just keeping things in perspective for what peer support should look like, and why this should not be such a, I remember coming in as a coach and being very overwhelmed with what it meant to reach out to people and what it meant to invite people. And when we understand that this is what it's about right here, this peer support aspect is what it's about, it's way less intimidating. What we're offering people is so different than anything else they're experiencing. So peer support is number one for how to push, to connect and add value and be there and really seek loving others as the most important thing. I forget how to, I clicked. So the next part is understanding. Understanding means that you have to hear your challengers and your coaches out. Now, a lot of us, sometimes we just want to get there quick. And if this was a salesy business or a get-rich-quick scheme or a multi-level marketing pyramid scheme type of thing, then this part wouldn't matter. The thing that I love about Beachbody, and the thing that is also very challenging about Beachbody, is that you earn your commissions in how much you support the people that you bring alongside of you. So if you are adding challengers and coaches to your business, you need to make sure you understand them, that you know what they're going through, you understand a little bit about their life, you get why they're where they are, whether they've signed up with you as a coach or a challenger, that you're listening to them. And when you listen for what they're saying, not for what you're going to say next. So always be focused. Where is this coming from? If I hear their heart, what am I hearing in what they're saying? What are they struggling with? What are they needing my support in? What's most important to them? Where are they trying to go? What motivates them? Okay? And if those things seem confusing, don't be afraid to ask questions. People love to be heard, and oftentimes people aren't really heard enough. So ask questions. Learn a little bit more about them. Reach out in silence, even when it's awkward. This is something that has definitely been a process for me, and something that nobody will ever do perfect, so don't beat yourself up if this is a struggle too for you sometimes. But when people are quiet, it doesn't always mean that they don't want anything to do with what you've offered them, or that they wish that they'd never bought their challenge pack, or they wish they've never signed up as a coach. Silence sometimes has to do with crazy things in their life that have happened, or old negative beliefs creeping back up and making them feel like they can't move forward, or it could be any number of things. I don't even want to go into all the things it could be, because who really knows? The only way you know is to reach out. This also is very, very important. Understanding is very important even in our challenge groups, because if you guys notice that it's been quiet, I used to be like, oh my gosh, what are we doing wrong that it's so quiet? And now I've started to realize it's quiet because it gets hard. Around week 3 and 4, people start dropping out. They start doubting themselves. It starts to turn into a habit they're not sure they're ready to form. Old things start creeping back in. So making a video or putting up a post that says, hey, where are you guys at? What's going on? We don't want to give up. Reminding people of their goals. Reaching out when no one else will is a way of providing understanding for people and an experience that they don't normally get. Okay? So, okay, this is also important. You have to be what you'd want someone else to be for you, which means you have to put your pride away. So the reason that I put this up is because there are lots of times where it feels you have to be willing to put yourself out there and be there for somebody and say, hey, I've noticed you've been missing, or I've noticed that you seem to be struggling, and you have to not worry what somebody else might think of you because you decided to step up and say something like that. And sometimes that feels a little scary and intimidating, and you get insecure and you wonder if you should, and there's so many questions going through your mind. But you have to remember that your job is to support these people and to really add value and show that you care. So you have to think to yourself, if I had totally disappeared right now as a coach or a challenger, what would I want somebody to do right now? Would I want them to just let me go, or would I want them to reach out to me, even though it's probably scary for them to do that? So be willing to not let your own fears of what other people think of you stop you from doing things that could make a huge impact in somebody else's life, because the only way you'll know if they're going to make an impact is to do it. And most of the time when you do it, you're going to get a positive response back, but you'll never know that if you're too afraid to ask the questions to begin with. Nobody cares what you know until they know that you care. So I've heard this over and over in this business, and I think it's super, super important. Nobody cares what you have to offer them or why it's so great or why it matters until they know that you genuinely care about them. Because through this journey, when things get rough, they want somebody who they know cares about them to help them through that. Okay? So make sure you understand your coaches and your challengers. The next one is seeing ahead. So in seeing ahead, I put this whole chart on the side about goals, because if we are going to see ahead for our coaches or for our challengers, guys, this slide gets me so excited. I actually feel it inside. I get actually excited about this because I used to be terrified of setting goals. I used to hate setting goals. I used to feel very intimidated by goal setting, because when I would set goals, it meant that I might fail. And if I was going to fail, I didn't want to do it. And so I wouldn't set goals. And now I see the goals as freedom in my life, because I have the opportunity to go after something that's totally manageable and attainable, and I can totally do it if I put my mind to it. And then when I hit it, I'm like, oh my gosh, that feels so good. So make sure that with your challengers and your coaches that you are helping motivate them by helping them set goals. And be honest with them that this journey is not going to be easy. There are going to be ups and downs. They're going to have to go over the speed bumps. They're going to have to deal with some negatives that come along with it. But if they attack those things, if they attack their goals more than they allow fear to stop them, then the stuff that's hard, it doesn't even matter. This business is so worth it, even though it comes with attacking fear. Because me and Tiger just had this conversation the other day. The closer you get to fear, the more fear disappears. Fear is an illusion. It doesn't actually exist except in our heads. And I know that for sure because of how many times I've jumped outside my comfort zone and how excited I get now when I get afraid of something, because I know that when I attack that challenge, I'm going to be so much more passionate about my business, passionate about where I'm headed, passionate about why I am where I am. So when you're afraid, go after whatever it is you're most afraid of. If you don't want to make a post and you're like, oh my gosh, what are people's response to this going to be? I challenge you to make that post. If you don't want to put up those pictures, put up the pictures. If you don't want to write that person because you're scared of what they're going to think of you, write that person. Because it's amazing what happens when you don't let fear hold you back anymore. I mean, I get excited about what happens when you don't let fear hold you back. So so number one, all of you guys should be goal setting. And here, I put this on here because this picture I think is very relevant. I think that it's very good tips. The way that it's outlined is very clear how to do it. And if you need specific help with, okay, what would be a good goal for me right now? Talk with your upline coach, because it's very possible to help you create goals that make sense for where you're at. The reason that it's important to ask yourself these questions, is it specific? Is it measurable? Is it attainable? Is it relevant? Is it time bound? Is because you want to have a goal that makes sense. It's specific for what you're trying to do. If you're trying to be success starter, if you're trying to learn what it means to hit Success Club 5, if you're trying to rank advance, you want to know, this is specifically what I'm trying to do, and it's measurable. And I can do it. How soon am I going to do it? That's the time. And is it relevant? Because sometimes you can get off task. You can start making a like page and start creating your brand, and that's relevant, but it's not really the same kind of relevant as learning about the business, learning what it means to be a coach, and to set goals that are, important for your business building. Does that make sense? So make sure that when you're setting goals, you're making them kind of follow this outline of what's most important. And this, you will need help from people around you. So don't be afraid to ask for it from your support system. And always put a time on it, guys. And trust, you got it. Your coach is not going to give you a time that you can't attack, depending on the kind of building you're telling them you want to have. You can do it. So believe in yourself, because confidence and belief in yourself is number one in this business. And it's not easy. But when you can say, I've got this, I've got this, I've got this, and you can see ahead for yourself, just as your coach above you sees ahead for you, it's so cool to watch those things fall into place. So that's seeing ahead. You want to see ahead for your challengers and your coaches. You want to be honest with them about the road ahead. You want to help them set goals for themselves that fall into the SMART goal category, and you want to be helping see how they're doing along the way. Then this is really, really important, and it's also a sigh of relief for coaches. You give them control over their outcome. For a long time, this was really hard for me because I wanted to carry everybody. I wanted everybody to succeed, and I wanted to do everything I could to make that happen. But I can't push play for somebody. I can't drink Shakeology for somebody. I can't run somebody else's business. They have control over the outcome of their dreams because it's theirs. It's your dream. It's your outcome. So whatever you want for your life, you give control to your challengers and coaches to get what they want out of their goal setting, okay? And then this is really important. You want to believe in them even when they struggle to believe in themselves. Now, I've gone over this a lot of times because I see that sometimes we want to give up on our coaches or our challengers. We want to throw our hands up and say, they're not doing it. I give up. I don't know what else to do. But here's the thing. It's exhausting, but you do it anyway. And yes, it's your job. So do personal development if it's too hard for you, because this is what you do as a coach. And that sounds kind of a little bit rude, except I have to do it too. So I know that it's exhausting sometimes, but it's still our job. And I know that it's not easy all the time. But somebody had to do it for me. I mean, Lisa has to do this for me a lot. She has to believe in me, even when I struggle to believe in myself. So I'm not saying this because I come from a place of, well, I don't have any struggles and it's exhausting to have to care about everybody else and their struggles. No, I have these same struggles, and I know the difference it's made in my life to have somebody believe in me, even when I didn't believe in myself. You guys have to remember that's what you are for your coaches and your challengers. So believe in them and help them, because even though they have control, just allowing you believing in them helps them believe in themselves. It helps them have control over the outcome. It helps them believe that their goals can happen for them. Then you let them choose, even if they choose not to. So you can believe in them and you can offer them your support and you can be there for them. But if they choose not to, this one's hard. You have to be able to say, okay, that's your decision. I'm here to support you. How can I help? Sometimes coaches or challengers will disappear and they won't write you back. They won't. They'll Things will be too hard and it will get overwhelming and they'll disappear. And you have to know that if that happens, that's not on you. That's okay. You're not doing a bad job as a coach if this happens. Continue to believe in them, continue to add value, continue to connect, and continue to love others. That's what we do. But you can't choose for somebody else what they won't choose for themselves, okay? So see ahead, know the struggles that are coming, help them set goals and motivate themselves so that hopefully they won't get in a place where they choose not to. The last part is helping. So I made up this top quote, but I think it's really cool and important, and I really want to put it up on my wall because I think it hits everything on a nail on the head, right? Like, be what nobody else is in a world where nobody else wants to. That is such a high calling, you guys. But if you can be for somebody else what nobody else is being for that person and what even that person would not be for another person, you are being an example in somebody's life that they are not seeing anywhere else. And number one, as believers, that's what we are. That's what Jesus is in us, because the way that Jesus handles our lives and the way that he forgives our sin is different than anything. And it is the key it's the key to everything. So in that same way, we are allowed, through the Holy Spirit, I really believe that we are able to be what nobody else is in people's lives where nobody else wants to. We are the hands and feet of Jesus. We are able to go and interact with the world in such a different way where we get to lay ourselves down and we get to say, okay, this is not about us. This is about them. And that's what true helping is. Then the next part is, if you're going to be a true helper in this business, you need to learn what we have to offer. You need to know this business. You need to know what it means to the products we have to offer. You need to go through the training. You need to take time investing in the YouTube videos, the national wake-up calls. There's so much information available to us with Super Saturdays, summits, any events that Beachbody offers. You guys need to make sure the more plugged in you are, the more you're learning about what we have to offer specifically through this business, so that as you use your giftedness, you are also growing your business, okay? So learn what Beachbody has to offer so you know exactly what tools to put into people's hands to give them the support that they need. Ding, ding, ding. Engage in personal development. You can't give where you haven't grown, guys. So personal development, personal development, personal development. I could say this all day long, but I'm sitting in Iowa, stressed out with everything turning out differently than we expected, 0 cell phone service. Things could not be crazier in my life, and I'm at peace in my heart because of the last 1.5 years of personal development. I've been a Christian for a very long time, and there have been lots of times where worry and stress and things like that have just overwhelmed me, you guys. And I used to think that self-help and things along those topics were kind of ridiculous, but I can tell you that there is a way that personal development mixed with quiet time and knowing the Lord, it fits so perfectly together, you guys, that you are able to handle situations in a completely different way than you would have day one of being a coach. Make sure you plug into personal development, okay? You need to be able to, you have your strengths and your giftedness. This is not about changing who you are. It's about growing who you are even more so that you can help more people, so that you're not held back by anything. So you're not worried about all the weaknesses, insecurities, problems, struggles, things that make you not good enough. We all have them, and they speak very loudly in our ears. Those repetitive negative cycles that can just go on and make us feel like we're not good enough and we can't do this. Personal development helps to silence those voices. Personal development plus prayer and a relationship with Jesus, but that's a whole nother story. Really, those are the key things to allowing yourself the opportunity to be what nobody else is for people who need us most. Okay? The next part is asking questions and offering tips and tools. The reason I put this on here is because sometimes we still will have weaknesses, insecurities, fears, things like that, self-doubt. And so we might be afraid to ask a question, even on the team page. If you have a question, don't be afraid to ask it, because guaranteed somebody else has that same question. And if you're not asking it, then, and somebody else isn't asking it, and then we're never helping each other overcome either. So make sure to ask questions when you have them. There is no stupid questions, and everybody's here to offer support. And then also, another way of showing help is even helping the team. If you have tips or tools, things that you're doing, ideas that you've had that have really been successful, or you found have really helped you, or pieces of your personal development or your quiet time that you want to share, help the team grow too. Like, put that out there for people, because it's very motivating and beneficial for everybody to be open and be willing to share. It allows a more cohesive group. It allows us to work together as a team. It allows us to learn that even on our team page, that's a very safe place to be real and to go through struggles and to celebrate life and the cool things that are happening and the growth and everything like that. So ask questions and offer tips and tools even on as a helping piece with our team page. And then trust that you're the best person to help those who are in front of you, that they don't need a me or anyone else on this team. They need you. The people on your list, the people you're reaching out to, you are exactly what they need. You have to trust in your gifts. You have to make that list of top 10 characteristics of who you are and what you would want in a coach or a challenger, okay? They are going to line up together. You want to know, these are the strengths that I'm working from, and this is what I have to offer people. So if you guys don't know this, we did a call a while back where I said, everyone write down 10 characteristics that you want in a coach on your team, or a challenger on your team, on the team too. So the reason for doing that is that when you make that top 10 list, then you know I have a set of skills that I'm working from. So that that list can yes, of course you can.
Sorry, my phone's about to die, so I'm just going to do it really quick. But I just wanted to share a quick example as far as like sharing tips and tools that you can offer. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
For example, before I was a coach, I remember Catherine, when I reached out to her and needing help with something, she sent me videos upon videos of little exercises that I could do while I was pregnant. And that in and of itself just showed how much she cared about me as a person, that it allowed me to trust her so much more when it came to purchasing something from her. So I just wanted to share that as an example of sharing tips and tools. They don't have to be your challenger or your coach in order to do that. That's all.
I'm so jealous of your background on a complete side note. But the cornfields are beautiful this time of year, so. Yeah, that's actually, so even more than even on our team page, that's a great point. There are lots of times where you can put together, Ashley's really good at these. She makes these like mason jar salads. You can put together a list of things. You can just say, hey, would anybody be interested in a monthly recipe list of things that I found useful for keeping me on track? Or when somebody asks a question about how do I lose 5 pounds? Well, you join my challenge group. Well, sometimes, you know that they can't join your challenge group right then. And you know that to offer them that again for the 10th time when they've said, I can't afford it. They really at that, there's times, guys, where helping is important for just being able to say like, hey, why don't you try this? This is a free support, okay? Like even our Beachbody Club membership is free for 30 days. That's a great tool to be able to help people. Things like being able to offer whatever gifts or tips or tools you have that work. So anything that you guys can give to people without it costing them anything is showing that you're adding value and building into them in a way that isn't just about your business. So Let me stop this screen share. So those are some of the really important things I think are most important when it comes to pushing, and that push has to come from a place of love. And if it does come from a place of love, I don't want you guys to be intimidated by having to say, wait, I know you said no, but, and that's scary, okay? Because sometimes we say, I know you said no, but, and you feel like, am I being too pushy? But is it coming from a place of love? Is it coming from you genuinely caring about them and wanting what's best for them and seeing more in them than they even see in themselves in their situation? You guys are adding value. You're not scary. You're not mean. You're not salesy. You're not intimidating. There's nothing bad about you. And so, I mean, especially because I know this team very well. I know what we're creating. And I know that oftentimes it's in our own heads, the things that hold us back from being successful. So remember that. Remember that you need to trust yourself, and you need to trust the discernment that you have inside of you to move forward and to act upon your desires for other people, and not to let the fact that they don't see it be something that stops you. You help them. You help them discover that when they're a little bit scared and insecure and nervous about it. Okay? Does anybody have questions that they want to ask? Okay. Well, seriously, I'm really, really glad all of you guys made it to the call. I'm so glad that I get to see your faces.